Hello, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. It is almost 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's like 10:48, coming on a little bit early. But if those of you who know me, I'm an early bird. And if I can always get a head start, I will absolutely do that. Today's broadcast on whatever we're calling Let's Talk. I have a dear friend of mine who I've known for some time who's connected to us that we're going to have a great talk. We're going to be talking about probably some cool things, some unusual things. And this man that I'm going to be bringing on in a second, he is, I don't like flattering people, but I can tell you, honest to God, he's probably one of the smartest people I know. He's extremely intelligent and he's technical. He's a former United States Marine and he's got a crazy story. But what I want you to do is as you come on board, I want you to press the share button. I want you to help get this word out because we're going to have a great conversation. It might be a little fun. Some of the things might be a little out there for you. But here's the thing. Just because something is different doesn't mean it's wrong, So I want to introduce you all to my dear friend, 425 Texas leader and brother in the Lord, Mr. Donald Mayfield. What's up, Donald? How you doing,
Hey,
Billy?
good morning. I'm doing great.
Good. So I almost put when I was going to do the ad, and I almost posted Billy Mayfield.
I almost put Billy coming in here, and I was like, Scott might not want
that. Well, those of the people that know you, they're going to understand. Oh, there's Billy. There's Billy.
Right, for sure.
He uses Billy as a. If you don't remember people's name, you just call everybody Billy, right?
That's it. Yeah, nobody gets offended because, at first they do. They think, you think my name's. I had one guy, a dear friend that he's gone to be with the Lord now, but at one time he asked his wife, he said, he told me, he's like, does he think my name's Billy? I've told him my name. And finally he learned that I just call everybody that.
Right. Yeah, I hate that when I mess up people's names, man. That's I've done that a million times, but no, man, it's great to have you on here, dude. You've been rolling with us for a long time at least. I think. Wow.
Yeah, right? 2018 was the first time I'd ever met you. I came to Louisiana for I think it was the second, maybe was it the first reunion? I don't know.
It was the first.
Okay, yeah. And I wasn't a part then, but that's where I met you, and you came and stayed at the house.
Yeah,
down by Cheryl and them after.
Yeah,
not too long after that, but that was when I first met you, and then
joined. And then I came to your old house, and it flooded. I remember your old house flooded. Y'all had that big storm. That was crazy.
Oh yeah, no, it did.
Yeah,
but it was God's blessing. He turned it into what you prophesied, and now we got a better house.
Hey man, I'm telling you, I love that, man. I'm just glad to have you on here. I love what you bring, bro. And the thing is, just do know. I hate flattery. People try to flatter me all the time. I can't stand it. But what I'm about to say to you is not flattery. It really is a real compliment. And one of the things I like about you, Donald, is that you realize how analytical and logical you can be. You know that because God gave you a very smart brain. But at the same token, you're one of the few intellectual guys that I know that actually hears the Holy Spirit pretty good. Right? And that's a big deal, man. A lot of people don't realize that. Oftentimes people trapped in their head, they don't hear the Lord at all, and so I commend you for that because that's the beautiful thing. It's rare. It really is rare. So I'm glad to have you on here, man. We've had some crazy conversations in the past. Who knows how out there we can get this morning. But exactly. So what I want you to do, man, to all the folks here, by the way, as you're coming on board, everybody press the share button. This is a conversation you do not want to miss. We're going to have an interesting conversation, I'm sure. Just like we're talking and hanging out in your truck or in your living room. Right. So Donald, do me a favor, man. Tell people about yourself. Give them your background, your story, and go for it, man.
All right. So I'll give you the rundown. And I'll be quick. So at a young age, my mother passed, and I was kind of not forced. I could go live with my grandfather, who was pretty strict, and then I was also rebellious. So I went out on my own, and it was kind of a good thing. It was a good thing because a lot of people they move from this place where they feel like they have to impress somebody, and usually it's their parents. So when you don't have that, that can shift, but it also takes away your enabler. And when you are analytical, you try to find the best way in and out of things, easiest, right? So you try to work very smart, very less work, and try to exploit whatever you can. So I did that, but I was not able to do that after that. Joined the Marine Corps at a young age. I went in at 20, so a little later than most. I got hurt when I was it a year and a half in? I was in a car accident, which, by the way, there's so many testimonies throughout this, and we won't get into it, but Jesus proved his existence to me in one of those testimonies, which is actually what locked my brain into going the Marine Corps route. After I was in an accident where even the truck driver over 20 years later found me on social media, still have on Facebook Messenger, still have the messages where you saw the just spark hit him because he realized that what happened wasn't possible. He saw my hand above water because I went into water in a car accident, and he realized, wait a minute, I was holding the car up a certain way. It wasn't moving, but your arm couldn't have even gotten out of the car. How could it be above water? And it clicked, just stuff like that. And then still not really living for the Lord, and then started walking with the Lord more so 2008. From there, did 14 years, which I met you during that time, of really just digging into the Word, learning who God is to the best of my ability. And then in the last 6 years, kind of left that place. Still associated with everybody there. I don't get to talk to everybody much, but we're on good terms. Something that happened kind of weird was I became a chaplain in 2021 for Pasadena Police Department. Not too long after that with the LaPorte Police Department. I still am with both of those agencies. One of their IT guys left, and the chief, who you met, Scott, we went and at the time, their IT guy, or their data services, they call them, they had left the department, and he asked me if I wanted to come in to fill a void. And here's the thing. I knew it was going to be a monetary downgrade, right, but I talked to Scott about it. I prayed about it, kind of sought counsel with the Lord, and I felt like I had to go. So I did it. I went to work for IT for the police department. I determined in my head, I thought it was me, it was probably the Lord, but I said, I'll give them a year. I'll give them 2 years. I'll give them a year to 2 years because it's really a monetary. And I said, if I can go in there, I can show them what I can do. Maybe there'll be a place for me, and everybody said, oh, no, that don't happen. I'm like, well, you don't know God. He opens up things. So I wasn't sure. I can't base everything I do on what other people say are the patterns of normalcy, because we don't operate in those. So I went, was there, had some challenging times, made a lot of friends, still have them. What else? I prayed about it and felt it was time to go. So a year and a half after being there, I finally kind of stepped out of there, and I never quit doing IT. I just worked a lot more. So I did IT there, and I would work IT outside. The doctor my main customer now, he told me if I'll come in 1 day a week, he'll double my hours and my pay. I'm like, okay, sounds like a green light from the Lord to me. So here I am. I'm at the doctor's office right now, where I work on Tuesdays 1 day a week. And it's very flexible, as you can see, because I'm doing a meeting with Scott, and they're cool. So,
bro, I got to tell you real quick. Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize this. So you joined the Marine Corps, and to join the Marines, you have to be a little different anyway. All right. There is a different ethos that you think about. So you join, but then you get in a car accident. What a lot of people don't know is that it actually paralyzed your arm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the thing is, those of you that he was in this car accident, God spared him. But it paralyzed your arm. You can move your hand, but you cannot lift your arm.
Right.
So you can use your hand, but what I've found, what stood out to me about you is that even though technically you're labeled disabled.
Don't ever say that. I'm
No,
just
no,
kidding.
it's what the, but the thing
I'm
is,
kidding. I'm
yeah,
kidding.
right. But what's wild, you never took advantage of it. You never, like every time you drove me, you never parked in a handicap spot. You never, because some people, you give them an inch, dude, they'll take a mile. And right, right.
Usually, yeah, yeah.
And so that spoke volumes to me because one of the things, bro, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I watch you, all right? And I'm a watcher. I watch people's actions more than I listen to what they say.
Well, yeah, it's smart.
One of the things I'm noticing is, and I'm going to talk tonight. I'm going to talk tonight at our hub, and I'm going to be teaching. I probably broadcast live, but one of the things the Lord's been speaking to me and sharing with me, He says, I cannot hear what you're saying because what you're doing is extremely loud.
That's good.
And so, so I commend you, man. Watching you not take advantage because you could have easily got that handicap thing and say, I'm going to just take it easy, but no, it's like your legs work, you're going to walk. I mean,
Right.
that speaks volumes.
I
So,
appreciate that. Thanks.
yes, yeah. So, and hopefully this will challenge some of you because I think some people they like to milk the system, you know, and even what Jesus said, if somebody compels you to go a mile, you go 2 miles.
2 miles, yeah.
Okay, that's right. But anyways, man, I just wanted to give that sidebar because that's another thing that I've always been aware of you.
Well, and
Yeah.
and I think, and I would have to associate that with, so I had a hero, and I still have a hero, and many people aren't going to understand this probably, but it taught me a lot, and I kind of based my life on this hero.
Yeah.
So you might remember him on TV, and he was handicapped, and he was handyman in Living Color. Do you remember that? One thing he didn't mention is I joke around a lot, and I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's funny. You
I
are
won't get into that nowadays because political correctness, but yeah.
Yeah, he hung out with homie claws.
Oh yeah, he didn't play that.
Look, these younger people ain't gonna have a clue, man. That's Gen X's. We
Well, they have YouTube, so go look it up.
That's right. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
But yeah, no, but go ahead. Sorry, Scott.
So you're doing IT now, and you're plowing for the Lord, man. You're connected to 420 Fire. You're doing meetings. You got men coming out to your house, and you're a phenomenal teacher. And so, what else about your life? What's the Lord been? What else? Tell people more. Tell them about your encounter with God, how you got saved, and how you started getting out of the analytical, crazy mindset. And because you yourself have said this before, the more analytical you are, the more critical we can be.
Well, the problem with being analytical is you see more, you observe more, and you process more, and it can really take you to a bad place as far as arrogance.
Yeah.
If you let it, until God humbles you and drops you on your donkey, and then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm not as smart as I thought I was, right, or wise. But no, what happens is you just, and for instance, I would be going around, I would drive, right? And I would see someone, I would be coming up to the right lane. There's no turning lane. Both lanes are open, and I'm going straight, but I'm in the right lane. So automatically, I look in my rear view, and I look behind me, and I watch because maybe a car's coming up. And if they don't have their right blinker on, I stay put. But if they have their right blinker on, I get over in the left lane, and I let them over. That's just more computations, right? And not everybody does that, and I'm not faulting anybody for that. I used to, but that's you're just doing more ramifications, right? You're thinking ahead. You're trying to, and it's that whole doing to others as you have them doing to you, right? You realize the reaping sowing mechanisms and everything. Even people who aren't believers can see that pattern. I believe, Newton saw it in the third law of motion, right? In thermodynamics, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? But so I would get so irritated with people because I'm thinking I do all this extra effort to make myself, convenient for other people. I'm going to do what, and no one, and they don't even do that. And one day I was thinking of it, how I'm like, man, I hate people. People are so stupid. And then the Lord's like, let me ask you something. Who gave you that gift? You just got it, huh? And I started thinking, and I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, well, Lord, no, I guess you blessed me with it, because I look up through, the lineage and genetics, and I'm not seeing any Nikola Teslas or Einsteins up there. No offense to my family, I love them. I'm just saying, and the Lord's like, yeah, so I stewarded you with that. Okay, cool. Do you think you might be lording it over people because you have this gift and other people don't? And he reminded me of how I used to get irritated because, you go to McDonald's or somewhere and you don't know the menu. Now the workers there, they know the menu like the back of their hand, but you don't. And while you're looking, you can hear that frustration or irritation. And I would think, are you a moron? I don't work here. I've got to look and decide what I want. You already know. You have a menu here. If you don't like me deciding at the menu, then put a pre-menu, do something. And then the Lord brought that memory back to me. So it's like, so I gave you the ability to see more and other people don't. And I don't give them that ability, and I don't give it to them for a reason, yet you're going to hold it against them. And that put me in my place. I'm like, okay, I'm going to back off. So that helped bring the humility and made me realize that, like you said before, the more I become aware, the more I learn, the more I realize I absolutely know nothing, especially about the reality we live in. Like some of the conversation we're about to dive into, I know nothing. Even the substrates of reality. I thought I knew physics, Newtonian physics. Now they start bringing in quantum, which I know they've been talking about it for a long time, but we're really getting into quantum mechanics as we approach quantum computing and everything else. But so when I came
crazy stuff right there. That's crazy stuff.
Oh, it is. It is. It might even be. And listen, disclaimers for those who, are really just critically watching me right now. This is a disclaimer. Paul, I think it was it 1 Corinthians 7, where he mentioned some things of wisdom that he wanted to give. And it was clear. He's like, I'm not saying this is from the Lord. This is from me. Right. So I'm not saying this is from the Lord. This is an observation, may or may not be. I'm not going to put anything into the Bible. But Revelation 13:5, we don't know exactly what that looks like, because guess what? We're not God. But I will say that maybe, quantum computing with AI maybe looks like building a body for something blasphemous that speaks all kinds of blasphemies, thinks it's God or something. I don't know. But yeah. So you'd said what brought me to the Lord. So my grandmother, I had a praying grandmother, and she was obviously tilling the ground a lot.
Right.
So let me see. 1993 is when my mother died. 1994, I was out and about, living at different places. Not homeless, but I was on Social Security disability, barely making it because it was from my mother. I wasn't of age yet. I was still 17, turning 18, still enrolled in school. Back then, if you were up to 21, still be in school, you could still get that check. So that kind of helped. Worked at Home Depot as a cashier for a while. That helped. So 2018, I'm living in an apartment, and like some kids misled and in rebellion for sure, wearing a symbol of Baphomet at the time. And I had an Anton Zander LaVey Satanic Bible,
You did? Wow.
I did it one time. Yeah. I was trying all kinds of things. I was trying to understand why I would know things before they happen. Psychic powers, crystals, all the metaphysical stuff. Right. Until of course I learned. Right. But but I always remembered, because my grandmother was raised in the Church of Christ, which is a very, what some would consider a strict church. They don't play musical instruments. And by the way, this isn't a knock at anybody in the Church of Christ, because we all are learning, right? We all, and I'm not saying I got it figured out above Church of Christ people. I'm saying we're all in a process of learning. Some of it we have right, some of it we have wrong. And who am I to say if I got it right or wrong, right? We'll all know when we stand before the Lord, but even then we won't even care. So I was raised in that, and we had some preachers that would preach fire and brimstone, lake of fire,
Yeah.
you know, and that was as a kid, that got embedded. Which I'm not saying it was a bad thing, knowing that you should have a healthy fear when you hear a rattler from a rattlesnake is probably a smart thing. Probably might keep you alive. But so at the time, I had tried LSD.
Oh,
Good
wow.
times.
Did
Yeah.
you trip out or what?
Well, I did. I was there by myself, which wasn't smart, but and I'd never, and here, keep this noted, I'd never experienced passing out before. Never felt what that was like. So I did that. I went. I'd been told though, when you do that, if you go to the restroom and you look in the mirror or in the mirror in general, and if you stop seeing like your face wave and like really poor, the visual effects start wearing off, it's going to wear down. Because I wanted to go to sleep, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was a weird situation. So I went and looked in the mirror, and as I'm sitting there, I start feeling really cold and wet, and then all of a sudden I feel nauseated. I wake up on the floor. So not knowing what was happening, I thought, oh my gosh, bad drugs. I'm like, did I almost just die? And I was like, wait a minute. If I died, what about the lake of fire? Hell?
Yeah.
And this fear overtook me. And then I got mad at myself for having that fear, because I'm like, how stupid are you? You don't even know that this is existing. This could be fantasy. So I go into my bedroom after that and I start coming to. Obviously, I was dehydrated and I hadn't drank water, or enough fluid, but that wasn't processing. And I remember getting really mad at the Lord. I didn't call him cuss words, but I used very explicit language. I said, I'm done. Either you prove yourself to me, or I said, I feel so stupid. Why am I even worried about this? You got Islam, you have Wicca, you have Hinduism, you have all the Satanism, all these different beliefs. And I mentioned a lot more at the time. I'm like, or a few more, but I said, and every one of them seems to have a negative connotation if you don't believe and follow it. I was like, what makes Christianity any different? I was born and raised into this.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Because I'd been told that God doesn't prove himself to you. You have to have blind faith. And I disagree with that, because that's not what the word teaches. I know that now. I didn't know that then. Because if you read Matthew 7, verses 7 and 8, what does it say? Knock, or it says, I don't remember the order, but ask and you'll receive, knock, the door will be open, seek, you'll find, right? All those things. And then verse 8 says, forever who does this, these things happen, right? Donald translation, I know. KJV and strict NASB or whatever you're. But as I sat there, I didn't realize I was making a request that God already promised in his word. I said, you show yourself to me or I'm done, and trust me, I was there. I was so adamant. Well, less than 12 hours later, I get a call from a friend who asked, we have a beach around here. It's not much of a beach if you've been to pretty beaches, but it's the ocean, the Mississippi. We get there mud and we have nasty looking water, but it's Galveston, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's blue actually when things occur, and it's weird. Like one time out of every 5 years, maybe. But so he wants to go to Galveston. I'm like, yeah, sure. We're 18. Me and my friend Scott and our friend Aaron's the one calling. So we go to Galveston. We're going to a place called Crystal Beach, and to get there, you get on a ferry. So we get on the ferry. As I'm there, getting on the ferry, as I'm getting out of the car, this guy starts approaching. And I'm just going to tell you how my mind frame was. I'm going to be a little raw about it. I know some people might get offended, but this was an 18-year-old kid, and I'm telling you what was processing. I'm thinking, oh, man. I was like, I don't want any candy, dude. I'm not like that. I'm like, here comes a peta. So I'm thinking, or a chomi, as I thought. Here comes a chomi. Yeah. And he walks up, and I mislabeled him, obviously. Yeah. But you got to remember, there's a lot of fire arrows landing, and I don't have no shield of faith because I'm not equipped. So he walks up and he starts talking to me. Really nice guy. And I don't remember now. He was either from Austin or San Antonio. I don't recall because my geography and my mind was off at the time. But he was from there. And we did some small talk. He asked me what I was doing there. Or I asked him what he was doing there after he asked me. And he's like, oh, the Lord told me to come talk to somebody. By the way, he said he was a preacher, and it was Sunday. I remember this. It was Sunday morning because I asked him. I was like, and in my cynical mind, I'm sure the enemy was like, "Oh, wow, typical Christian preacher at the beach, but his parishioners are paying him money." And I'm like, "Oh, shouldn't you be preaching? It's Sunday." He's like, "Oh no," he's like, "I'm an associate pastor," and he's like, "Besides that, the Lord told me to come here." I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "For why?" He's like, "Oh, to come talk to somebody."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, who?" He's like, "I think you." And I'm like, "Oh." Keep in mind, the Lord is blocking the memory of last night at this time. I know it's the Lord, because why wouldn't you remember that?
Right.
I guess he's saving it for the grand finale. So I'm talking to him. And he gets to the point where he asked me if I've ever asked the Lord to be my savior. And I say, yeah, my grandma takes me to church. He's like, nah, that's not what I'm asking. He's like, have you ever, like he was describing what Romans 10:8-9 says, have you ever confessed with your mouth and believed in your heart that Jesus is Lord? Because if so, you'll be saved. And I'm like, no, I've never done that. And he's like, well, do you want to do it? I'm like, yeah. So he's like, well, this is the funny part. Well, sort of. He says, well, here, take my hand. And I look up on the ferry and there's these two girls in bikinis, and they're kind of looking down at us.
Yeah.
And 18, right?
And you're
95, shallow mind, right? I don't feel this way at all now. But I look at his hand and I look up and I'm like, if I take his hand, they're going to think I'm gay. That's my
shit. Gen X guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, but then now I know it's the Lord, but I hear this just penetrating thought. Boom. Just, if you don't take his hand, you're spitting in my face.
Wow. Yep. I'll take your hand.
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm here.
Yeah.
So, accepted the Lord as my savior on that day. Did I live life for the Lord? Not at all. Not until 2008. Now, did it set the tone? And finally, see, people don't realize, I think people don't understand that God wrote this program, the way he wrote this substrate that we live in. It's like if an officer, and I'm not down on any officers here, but I guarantee if an officer's in their jurisdiction and they're driving, or someone who's affiliated with the PD and they're driving and maybe they're going 10 miles over the speed limit, they're probably not worried about it because they know everybody around there, right? Yeah. They might exploit a little, take advantage of it. It's almost like don't muzzle an ox, when he's right. And I'm not saying you should do that. That's not what I'm getting at. But I'm saying God never does that. Right. God doesn't. He will not even go even a decimal over what he sets. And that's why I used to read Matthew 13:58, which says when he was in Nazareth, it said he did no miracles there and he wondered at their disbelief. And I automatically knew that it was saying he couldn't. Yeah. And then when I read Mark 6, Mark, I think it's Mark 5 verses 6. Maybe it's 6 and 5. Yeah, I know someone can look that up, but I think it's Mark 5, or I think it's Mark 5 verse 6. It says in Nazareth, he could not do any miracle there except maybe a little healing, and because of their disbelief. Yeah. He will not violate your free will. That's why James 4:2 says you have not because you ask not. That's right. And I used to think, well, he's God, he knows everything. It doesn't matter. Even the blind men, right? Bartimaeus, right? What do you want from me? Exactly. I mean, here's Stevie Wonder.
Right.
What do you want from me? Well, a new car. What do you think? It's God in the flesh. He knows it doesn't matter. What do you want?
Right? A lot of people thinking, well, if the Lord wants me to have it, he'll give it to me. No, it's not the way it works.
No.
You actually have to partner with God. Everything we do is partnership, man.
Yeah. And that's what happened. I accepted the Lord, and that's how that's how when my atheist friends or my agnostic friends, which by the way, I have no problem with that. I don't try to prove to them God exists. If I have to prove to them God exists, then there's no God. Yeah. I'm just saying, think about it. If I think I have to if I have to till the dirt, I have to water it, I have to grow it up, I have to do everything, then I'm the God. I'm God because I'm doing everything. Right. So if I take myself out of the control and I say, okay, God, you do everything. I used to get so down on myself because I would not ask people. I'd forget to ask people if they've ever accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior when we'd have a really good, deep conversation. But I wouldn't remember. And then the Lord showed me later on, why do you think you didn't remember? I blocked it. Yeah. But, oh, okay, so I'm not God and you are? Sweet. I love this.
Come on,
So
man. That's
yeah,
good.
but sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so you give your life to Christ, and then you get on this journey. And one of the things that, like, even just like you've just been speaking, you quote scriptures a lot. I love that about you, because to me that shows you've taken the time to study the Word. You know, so I love that, dude. I love the fact that you quote scriptures because that way you give the address. But the thing is, you didn't start that way.
Oh no, I didn't know anything.
No, and then you became really hungry for God. You went after Him. But what I love about you, man, is you have this ability to ask God questions in layers. So, for instance, you are now in the IT field. You work with AI. So, but just everybody know that it's not Donald's fault when Skylink or
Skynet.
Skynet
It's
bombs
okay.
us. it's not. It's not. He's not causing the Terminator. However,
Actually, I'm wanting to be. I want to bring Terminator after he became
the good one.
compassionate towards
Yeah.
humanity as a protector. Yeah,
All right. So you're working on the good Terminator guys. Okay.
maybe.
Well, okay. So now we're getting ready to shift a little bit. Now, this right here, this conversation, those are watching. Just know we're going to talk about some interesting subjects, and this. So we're gonna. So me and Donald are going to kind of transition to like the conversations we have in the truck when I'm there visiting, or when we're at his house. And what we're saying, we're going to give the disclaimer right now. This is our personal gospel. Okay. We're not saying, thus saith the Lord here. We are saying things that we perceive, things that we think about, and then we also ask what ifs. I mean, just last week, Donald's had tea with Bigfoot. So, I mean, he was telling
No,
me.
no. And listen. I didn't. Well, I can't talk about that now. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, but we're now I'm facetious right now. But anyway, so you said something earlier that triggered me, that made me think we live in this construct, God's construct. All right. As I was flying home yesterday from Arizona as a 4 hour flight, so I watch a movie every now and then, and I couldn't find anything I really liked except the original Matrix movie with
Good.
Keanu Reeves that came out in 1999,
Yeah.
literally 1999. It was so cutting edge for its time. But in the premise of the movie is it was AI, artificial intelligence, that actually caused all this. And the thing is, in '99, we didn't have AI, man. We
Right.
didn't have. I mean, some people might have had it, but no one knew about it. I mean, we heard about AI from the Terminator movie. We heard about AI from the Matrix, and now, but what's happening in that movie? The Lord said to me years ago. He says, "I will speak. Watch when you watch a movie. I'm revealing my purposes oftentimes through even sinners making creative arts." I said, "What?" So,
Amen.
and that's the thing is like the Lord will use everything. He'll use the crazy. He'll use a donkey for crying out loud. So when you see some of these sci-fi movies that are happening, they might not intentionally know this, but God in his sovereignty gave these people. I mean, it could be God, or I mean, who knows? It could be the enemy. But needless to say,
Right.
it paints a picture of something that has a bit of truth in it.
Yeah.
So right now where we're at, like when we were talking, for instance, when my fingers touch right here, if you take a microscope and go down as far as possible, they're not touching. They're not touching at all. They're
Right.
actually it's a barrier, and they don't know what that barrier is. If they actually touch, they would go through each other. So what if our realm right here, everything like the Lord planned our life, he planned your end, and then you became your beginning. So with that said, man, I mean, we've talked about things about the Mandela effect. That was crazy. That's kind of wild stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, that stuff's real, man. That
It
stuff.
is. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, and again, we're not saying that. Uh, we're not trying to put anything in the Bible, right? As a matter of fact, the Bible to me is the anchor.
Yeah.
That's really the anchor, because otherwise, I think I would go insane.
Yeah.
Right? That's my anchor point. I know in Jesus, when I say the Bible, I'm really talking about the living word,
Yeah.
not even getting into the scriptures themselves, but what the scriptures like, what is it, John 5, where Jesus told the Pharisees, he's like, you think these scriptures, these words will save you, but you're not understanding.
Right.
They are an interpretation and a syntax translation format of who I am, but you're missing that gap, right? So
Right.
I'm referencing Jesus, who the living word of God, right, is pointing to, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
go ahead.
So no, I was going to say, like, so our reality, what is our reality?
Whatever God says it is.
All
And
right, there you go.
I used to think because I went to school, started in like 2000 and 2004 or something like that. I was using my GI Bill, and I wanted to do physics. I figured, physics and chemistry, right? They lay down. If you know physics, you know everything. Everything fits into physics, right? As far as the materialistic world we live in. And I remember in that journey, I got stopped midway. Now, I in no way, form, or fashion think that you're supposed to not go to school, not get an education, not learn. You definitely are. But in 2007, my course got shifted because I was going to complete my degree fully, and the Lord stopped me. And I believe it was the Lord. I don't want to put anything on him. It wasn't. Maybe I'm just lazy. But um, what I kept seeing was, this is all going to burn up. You're learning all these rules and regulations of a game that won't exist when I get done with it. There'll be a new heaven and new earth. I knew that much, right? I didn't know the word, but I knew that things were going to change. And I kept feeling like I needed to learn the word. And that's what shifted my course. I actually started just diving into the word at that time. And it's funny because 2008, so that's 2007, it seemed like he was doing the prep work. 2008, finally landed in a spirit-filled church, which was way outside comfort zone, going from Church of Christ, then to Baptist, and then now we're over in the assemblies. Woo! Yeah. We just jumped some pews, if you know what I'm saying. But no, not that bad. But yeah, so reality, I don't know what it is. I don't. I really don't. I mean, I know that God made a place for us to have an experience. And I think to learn and to come into relationship is the main thing, obviously. But he put these certain beings, he gave them almost like managerial zones, right? Like, you're in charge of this district, you're in charge of this district. Well, I think maybe these things became jealous. So they decided that they want, what are these new creatures? Maybe they were happy at first that we were here, but after a while, maybe they're like, what are these new creatures? This isn't, they get to do things I don't get to do, right? So, i.e., eventually we have Nephilim, but the reality we live in, I think that started challenging me. I can talk about a personal experience. I used to live in Nacogdoches for a while. After I got out of the Marine Corps, I was waiting on my disability to come in, and my wife and I, my grandfather and grandmother, were gracious enough to let us live at a guest house on their property that they had at the time. And so from the year of 2001, right, 2001, we basically lived a year in Nacogdoches. Well, in Nacogdoches at the time, they really didn't have a lot of food places. They had some, but once you'd eaten there, you'd eaten everywhere, right? So on every Friday, we didn't get to go out much because we didn't make a lot of money. I was working at Pizza Hut as a delivery driver at the time just to make extra money. We would go Fridays. We would drive down to Lufkin, which was around 30 minutes away. On the way, we'd go to Chick-fil-A because they had just started opening up Chick-fil-A. They had them in the mall, but they started opening them up, at least in our area, in stores. So we would go to Chick-fil-A, and on the way there, it was 59 South. We would travel, and they had a road sign, a big road sign, and it said Chick-fil-A, but it was CHIC dash FIL dash A.
Yeah.
And I know this because I would make such goofy dad jokes about it. Kayla, my daughter, and my wife, would be in the car and be like, "Ooh, it's chic filet." It's like it's French, like fragile, right? It's French. I was like, "Look at chic filet." I was like, I don't understand why they don't just phonetically make it right. They always have chickens on there, and why don't they just put chick, CHICK?
Yeah.
And I used to wonder that. And I would be driving, and and I would always it was every Friday. It was like boom, right? So, and I wouldn't say it all the time, but I'd say it quite a bit. Probably said it over 20 times. I noticed later on they finally got it right. They changed it, CHICK. I was like, man, I was wondering when they would do that. Shoot, I didn't realize something transitioned. Yes. Either I went into a different instance of a time flip, or I went into a different parallel universe. I don't know. Again, I don't have the answers. I will say this. I was talking to some other people, and one person that I know that used to attend the 420 Fire Texas, she worked at a mall in Corpus Christi, and I was bringing up chic filet. She's like, well, yeah, that's what it used to be called. And this was like maybe 2 years ago. She's like, well, yeah, they changed it. And I'm like, it was never called that.
Wow.
She's like, yeah, it was. I worked at the mall. I used to make little jokes myself. Ooh, chic. And I'm like, no, you didn't. She's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, well, I'm not saying you didn't, but I'm saying it was never called CHIC, not where we're at now. Right. And she's like, I know she went and looked it up. It almost blew her mind. Because even Dan Cathy, the creator, said people have come to him with that. And he's like, it was never chic filet.
Bro, I worked for Chick-fil-A in West Virginia, and it was CHIC dash FIL dash A.
It's good to know we're from the same place.
Oh, yeah, dude. We are. I think
because some people aren't. Some people aren't. It's always been what it is. When I talk to some people, and you can't get into it with them because they can't. We couldn't. I guarantee you and we couldn't wrap our brains around it. We would think conspiracy, tinfoil hats, if we hadn't experienced it. And now they tell us that the Mandela effect, what it is it's really just this massive understanding of things that have predominated our thoughts. And now we just misunderstand what our thoughts were. They've been rearranged, and it's like a lie, right? We've got bad degradation in our brain. We remember it wrong, but there's so many memories that are based on So,
dude, I remember being a kid wearing Fruit of the Loom underwear, and
cornucopian, right?
Exactly. The cornucopia was on my tag.
Me too. I think we all rolled with that.
Yes. And the thing is, now it's not there. I'm like, what happened to it? And there's a group of people that said it never was. I'm like, Lord, I know I'm not crazy. And
neither are they, right? They're just, and that's why I don't think it's necessarily either. There's I don't want to say what it is because I don't know, but I know this. Either a possibility is, parallel universe shift, which we've seen a lot of sci-fi movies based on that recently. What you said earlier, my wife and I watched The Fringe. We just binged it. And that was in 2009 to 2012 or somewhere around that range. And they're talking about parallel universes. Oh, yeah. And then, but look how many Doctor Strange. So there's that. But what about also, why do we remember differently? And it's because I think it proves that a spirit is in us. It's not just our brain, because if it was pure chemical, physical, right, substance, then I think we would be changed too. But we're in this hardware, but we're controlling it from a creature or a being, which is the real us, that is just in a car, basically, in an exoskeleton.
What if the people that remember these things, what if we are the remnant?
I've thought about that.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, dude, it's like some of these things are just uncanny. Like Curious George, when you were growing up, did he have a tail or not?
He did, because and one of the things he was hanging from it.
Yes, he had a tail. Curious George had a tail. I remember reading, like in kindergarten, reading Curious George books, first grade. Nowadays, he has no tail. I'm like, it trips me out. I'm like, so we're seeing,
Disclaimer on that.
yeah,
On just on the Mandela effect.
okay.
There's a lot of trolls and misinformation where they'll say, "Oh, this changed," and it really didn't.
Uh-huh.
So if we happen to hit on some of that and we're mistaken, that's fine. But there are things concrete. I will never let Chick-fil-A go.
Yeah.
Never. You will never convince me.
No, me
Yeah.
neither. I work there. I
Yeah.
work there. Okay.
Yeah.
I've
God's
passed
chicken.
out the drinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So
I saw it every day.
continue. I just wanted to, because someone might be like, they said that these people are crazy. No, there's just misinformation.
Right.
Like, but go ahead.
So when do you think, like, so for instance, what do you think took place when, because a shift happened, and I honest to God think, bro, is just like the Lord, He told us in Second Corinthians 4:18, we don't look at those things which are seen, but the things which are unseen. For the things
Sure.
which are seen are temporary, but the things which are unseen are eternal. So our perspective is seeing different. So we're actually seeing in the spirit, but there was a shift from all these things.
Right.
I noticed, like, I don't know if it happened in the 80s or late 70s. I don't know when it happened. Something happened that it shifted everything. What did they do scientifically at the time? Wasn't there some type of thing turned on or something?
So a lot of people say that the shift happened in 2012.
2012. Okay.
That's what a lot of people say. I don't know. That's when I start. I don't think, thinking back on it, I didn't notice any change until after that point.
Me neither.
I was going to go to a place in the Bible that meant something different to me now than it used to after I believe the Lord led me to.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it real quick.
Sure.
It says, He will speak out against the Most High and wear down the saints of the Highest One, and He will intend to make alterations in times and in law, and they will be given into His hand for a time, times, and half a time. Just in a meeting. Sorry. Yeah. This is the doctor I work for. No, come here. This is Dr. Goharke. This is my very flexible boss.
Oh,
This is Scott Neri.
Nice to meet you, sir.
International founder. That sounds cool, man.
Yep. This is who I do ministry under.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Nice to meet you.
this is my boss.
He's a good man.
Yes, he is.
Guy who does a great job and nice, very clean character.
Yes, he is. He's a
But
good
yeah,
guy.
as soon as I'm working a little extra for this time, but
Sure, no
I'll
problem.
be
You're
able
fine,
to.
you're
If you
fine.
need any help, let me know. I'll get you.
No,
So-
we're good. Thank you.
Sorry.
Good
Thank
to
you.
meet you, man.
And thank you, Dr. G, for letting me have this meeting. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. So no, he's a great guy. No, you're good.
Everything fell out.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, no, it's good. It was just Monica made that for me. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So that scripture, where is that at again?
Daniel 7, verse 25, and it says, and he will intend to make alterations in times and in law. Think laws of physics, right? And they will be given into his hand for time, times, and half a time, which we know translates for those who study into 3.5 years.
Yes.
From what I can tell, again, I've had the Lord show me things that I was so concrete on. For instance, I've heard people say, well, people that had NDEs, near-death experiences, maybe the Lord took them to show them the lake of fire, and they're like, there's no way he went and showed them that because that doesn't happen until, and they get in their timeline, right? And one thing the Lord broke me from, I never went that far, but John of Patmos.
Yeah.
Probably second documented time traveler, if you want to consider the fact that, was it Philip that got translated from one place to another? That's technically, even though it was in the same time frame, he covered it, right? But John of Patmos saw the Son of Man coming before he passed, which he prophesied over. And that means he went to the future. He even says it himself, spirit, body, I don't know. Who cares, right? But he went. So God can take you places. And I used to think, well, no, when we die, we're dead in the grave and, we're dormant, we're paused. And maybe that's an observation from our timeline, but in the spirit, you're no longer subject to the asymptote, which is the speed of light, right? Which kind of regulates us, and 186,000 miles per second. You start going past that, you start gaining infinite mass. So you can never cross that threshold if you have mass. Guess what spirits don't have?
Mass.
They don't have mass.
Right.
So because they don't have mass, they can move past that. So yeah, if your spirit's taken out, he can take you any point in time, you know? So I think we get caught up in these rules and these regulations we're used to, but these rules and regulations don't necessarily apply in the spirit. And and I think what happens is the Lord takes us further and further as we grow in him. He's able to, right? Even Paul said in 1 Corinthians 3, was it 2 through 4? He said, I wanted to give you meat. He's like so desperate. He wanted to have these conversations. He's like, man, I want to give this to you, but I can't.
Yeah.
Because you're on milk. You're worried about Billy Etta sitting in your seat in church. Mm-hmm. You're worried about someone not waving at you or not calling you, and you haven't called them. And you're worried about all this trivial crap that has no bearing. It's not even a shadow of the things to come. You know, but it's just so deep, right? And
it's crazy. Like, and that's the thing. Walking with the Lord, if you walk in the Spirit, you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. But I can tell you, I don't know if I've ever told anybody this story. So I was in this large building, and I was, you know me, how I absolutely hate being late. I hate it.
Oh, he does. If you don't know, don't be late.
Yeah,
you'll hear about it.
Oh yeah,
it don't matter. It don't matter if your leg gets cut off. You better be there.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
So, but I was stuck in traffic, and I had to get to this meeting, but I had to go through this big building, and the meeting was like way up somewhere else, and I had to take all these doors. There was no elevators, so I'd have to take stairs and whatnot. And during that morning before I went to this meeting, I asked the Lord during my devotion time, I said, what would you like me to read? What would you like to read with me? Because, everything I do is with God. I don't read my Bible outside of him. I read it with him, and I pray with him. And he told me, he says, I want you to pray in the Spirit this morning. So I sat in my chair and I prayed in the Spirit, prayed in tongues, and just meditated and was working on staying calm. So then I get ready to go to this meeting, and I'm in traffic, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late. And I hear the Lord. He says, you're already there. I said, excuse me? You're already there. You'll catch up. Now, now this is the crazy thing. The Lord said, you're already there. You'll catch up. Now, that blew my mind because I didn't know what was happening. But the thing is, God holds time in his hands. He can do things outside of time. I honestly, God, believe we've lived this life before. I believe that we're catching up. When we have deja vu, we've already seen it. We've already been there. This is the, crazy stuff that, I don't really preach all the time, but I can tell you through my personal experience, I've experienced these things. So I go in this building, I go up this small flight of stairs, and I open the door, and I got to go a lot further. I open the door, come out, and I'm in the room. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I believe it.
It tripped me out, dude. And you saw, like, when I had the angel get me through customs and immigration when I was coming back from training. Yeah, that was crazy too. So this is the supernatural life. So I think sometimes the reason why this experience happened with me, I was already there because I was praying in the Spirit. He had me sit in my chair, get right internally. So he knew what was going to happen. Because of his kindness and his goodness, I wasn't late. I made the meeting. Now, mind you, I'm tripping out.
Your faith has made you on time, son.
Yeah, exactly. I'm absolutely tripping out, And so I opened the door, and I'm there. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're redeeming the time. And so that's the thing. We've got to get to this place. Time. Time is, God doesn't operate in time.
No.
And so if we realize this, how much more us as kings we're the kings of the kings. He's the king, we're the kings.
Right.
If we truly understand who lives in us, and again, you don't try to make this stuff happen. You don't try to do that. I mean, I've been translated a couple of times. That was one of them. And then another one, I saved like 3 hours from a drive.
You know, it means you're a time traveler, right?
There we go.
No, I'm not kidding. I mean, you literally, the time it took you, if you do physics, right? Kinematics, you know that there's three things. You got time, space, and mass, right? So you arrive somewhere way faster than you should have. It doesn't calculate, it doesn't compute because you time traveled. And that's what I was saying about Philip. You did the same thing. I'm sorry, but I was listening.
But when he spoke to me, he says, "You're already there." That's what tripped me out. So if I was already there, does the Scott and Aaron exist in two dimensions? You know, I know I exist in heavenly places. We're seated in heavenly places, and we're here in the flesh. And even like when I take off and fly, as the plane's taking off the runway, I close my eyes and I'm in the spirit with the Lord, and I see myself land where I'm going. And so what happens? I was already there when I actually took off. And that's the thing that some people think you're absolutely nuts, you're crazy and stuff when you talk about these things. But we're made in the image and likeness of God. And the Lord went through walls. We have people in the Bible that are being translated. You're seeing supernatural stuff, but what happens? People trapped in carnality, the over analytical, logical mind will never experience these things, you know? So I think this is where faith is. I can't try to, I don't try to be translated. I don't try to do this. It only happens through the Lord when he wills.
Right, that's the difference between witchcraft and hearing the Lord. If you're trying, you're manipulating, which I used to try to study on that, astral projection, stuff like that. And it can it be done? Yeah, it can be done. Should you? No, not at all, because that's not your place. But if the Lord's doing it, what do you say? Oh no, Lord, I can't do that. It's like when Peter said, "No, I'll never eat that." What did the Lord say? He's like, "You will eat what I say is clean, and don't you ever go against that." Right?
That's right. So this Mandela effect that you're talking about, what are some other examples of it?
Well, getting back to what we were saying about that, the initialization, 2012. So here's the thing. A lot of people, you got to remember something. The enemy's always, it says in 2 Corinthians 4:4, the lowercase g, the God of this world is blinding those who are perishing. That also means he wants to silence those who might bring some truth, and he wants to make it really noisy, right? He wants to so what he'll do is he'll put illusions of grandeur in people that maybe they're not gifted with intelligence. Maybe they're not that bright, but man, the enemy will puff them up. He'll whisper in their head how brilliant they are. He'll take them on this long ride on YouTube where they watch all these videos. Next thing you know, they go down this rabbit hole and they're doing some crazy stuff. And they're looking at you like, you don't understand the deep complexities. I've learned so much. And it's like, it's not based on anything except the enemy lied to him about. And I just sit back and I'm like, if you only understood. And it's not that I'm the same way. Like, I'm just like, I've been down that hole. I know where you're going. And you're going to feel really stupid when you get to the bottom of it, because you're going to realize you look like a donkey, you know? But what happens is, though, the enemy clouds the airwaves with that. So then people don't want to hear it. Like, for instance, I'll share something I didn't think I was going to on there. I went to watch a brother of mine. His son was graduating after a year of sobriety from a place. And it was in a church that it was a place, but they had a church on that ground. So we went to that church. I'm looking up where I happen to be out of like a stained glass window. And the part I'm looking at is clear, just to be clear. It's the clear part. And I'm looking out and I see some birds flying, and I see this one bird just stop. Stop.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it. And it doesn't look like it has its wings spread, like it's gliding. I mean, it is literally paused, freeze frame, paused, frozen. For the Nintendo users, start, right? So I'm like 30 seconds. And after that, my mind, I'm like, all right, well, I was seeing that this is dirt. And right after that, I see it fly away. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? So I don't really tell anybody about it. A couple days later, I'm thumbing through some reels, and I see this guy. And keep in mind, if I'd seen this before that, I would have thumbed through it. Again, the noise, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. Okay. So I'm thumbing through it, and this guy starts talking about this phenomenon where birds are freezing in midair.
Wow.
And I see some videos where you can tell they set it up. It looks like the bird's on a string, and they on a, and I'm not talking about that, but there's some where, and this is before AI, right? This is going back a few years before we had the AI that we have. And they would go up and they would like touch it with a stick and it would fly away. And I would have never even given that a train of thought had I not seen something weird. So, and then I start talking to a friend of mine. I won't name him on here because I don't want him to get any clap back from anybody, but he told me he's had the same things happen with airplanes. And I've had multiple friends tell me they've seen airplanes just stopped. They hear the engine, and it's not the phenomenon where it looks like it stopped. They sit there and it is not moving for like 5 minutes, just stopped. Wow. And so I don't know if there's a sink and a buffer, with things catching up. I don't know. Do I think Satan may be playing with some things? Possibly. So one thing I started looking into and thinking about before I saw any of the noise, and that's why I looked into it. Now everybody and their mom does it. So I believe the enemy does that. He doesn't lie. He just announces it in a satirical kind of way, like, yeah. But I started thinking about one of the Hadron atomic colliders we have.
Okay.
Where they're what they're saying is the scientists, their purpose is to discover what they call the God particle.
Okay.
So they want to see what the initialization was of the Big Bang, right?
Yeah.
You think of CERN, which CERN is basically the name for the European physics, science department over there. And ironically, I think what Paul labeled the seat of Satan happens to be where CERN exists, underground.
Wow.
And if you go over there, they actually have a statue of they have two names for this partial he, partial she. I don't know, the destroyer. It's what is it? I usually know the name, and I'll lose this stuff all the time. It's not important, so I don't cache it. But it's the one with all the arms, Shiva.
Yes.
Yeah. So, ironically, if you look up, I think it's in Revelation 9, you see Apollyon in the Greek, and what is it in the Hebrew? It's I'll just look it up. See, I forget, but Apollyon, and I haven't looked at this in a while, so I need to brush up.
Something about the wood or something like it.
Well, the destroyer, right? Greek Abaddon. And his name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in the Greek Apollyon.
And where's this at again, by the way? Where's it located?
So in the Bible, or where the location?
In location in the world.
Switzerland area. And they have, and we can, if someone asks, I'll be happy to find it out. But you can Google it. They show a picture of the statue, but it says.
Somebody asked if it's in Brussels.
I don't. Not they have a few. I mean, not a few. They have very few, but there's more than one atomic collider. But the one I'm referencing, I thought was in the area I mentioned. So I'm not. I used to know it, but again, I haven't looked into this in a long time. So I know there's other people who are like, well, actually, it's blah blah blah, and they're probably right. I just, but it does say, interestingly, Revelation 9, then the fifth angel sounded, it is starting on verse 1, and I saw a star from heaven, which had fallen to the earth, and the key of the bottomless pit was given to him. He opened the bottomless pit, and smoke went up out of the pit, like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the smoke of the pit. Then out of the smoke came locusts upon the earth, and power was given to them, as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were told not to hurt the grass or the earth for any green thing or any tree, but only the men who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And they were not permitted to kill anyone, but to torment for 5 months. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings a man. And in those days, men will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, and death flees from them. The appearance of the locusts was like horses prepared for battle, and on their heads appeared to be crowns like gold, and their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair, the hair of women, and their teeth were like the teeth of lions. They had breastplate, and it goes on to say that, and it said who they had king over them. Again, Apollyon or Abaddon, which means the destroyer, which Shiva is the destroyer. And Satan always, I've noticed, even when I've gone to pray over people, or I've had a lot of spiritual things happen myself, which I think has also made me easy more so to believe in things, the things we cannot see. He'll always announce himself.
Yes.
Like, I've always thought how stupid it is. And I've realized it's not that he's stupid. There is an unwritten rule. There's some regulation, some spiritual regulatory thing. I don't know if there's maybe scripture on it. There might be. There's always such deep layers in the Bible. But even if there isn't, he always makes a sound, always makes a noise. And I think, man, that's dumb. Because if you were to be quiet, you could cause so much problems. It would never even occur to me that I'm fighting with my wife right now and she's fighting with me, and it's something spiritual. But because you went, turned off a light, turned it back on, or made a sound, or made something knock over, you basically announced yourself. Right. And that led me to say, you know what? I'll usually say, like last night, something was rustling around on my drawer. And I said, every unclean spirit or spiritual dark force right now, I declare a 50-yard radius from the center of my property in my home going out, because the devil is so legalistic. If you don't say it right, man, he'll jump on that. So I'm like, I declare you cannot be here. I'm going to go ahead and put a time limit, 30 days. I don't want you here. Lord, I said, if this is one of those that happens to be require prayer and fasting, like the man who had the son who would throw himself into the fire, then Lord, I ask that you help me. I plead the blood of Jesus. And Lord, I ask that you take control, send angels, whatever needs to happen. I want to get a good night rest, and I thank you for it, Lord, in Jesus' name. And I took authority and did, the little spiel, and but he announces himself, and in the way he announces himself, it's almost like that statue of Shiva, an announcement, right? But there early on, I read about physicists who were claiming that they saw things, they heard things, saw apparitions, shadows, all kinds of stuff that they didn't understand or explain. I've heard there's all kinds of stories. You don't know what's real, but this is usually you're going to hear about it. The first things you hear are the preliminary, right? I've seen things like, you can go right now and look on the website. You can go to the Google Wayback Machine, and you can go on there and you can look at websites when they were first created, and they'll show you what they look like. There was one that got changed. I watched it change. Matter of fact, the group I had with 420 Fire Texas, they saw it change. I showed them, and they saw it change. It was when that woman went, and I forget who it was, but remember a few years back, she went into Congress and she prayed, but she also prayed in the name of the other name, not Shiva, and whatever that was, I went and looked it up, and the definition, it showed the destroyer. They changed it. And I'm not saying this was the Mandela effect. Right. I'm saying I believe whoever controls whatever, they went in and changed it. I saw it change. I screenshotted it, and then they changed it, and I don't know what happened to that, but it was just, I've seen some weird stuff. So it's made me not necessarily latch on to the things of this world, the physical things.
Right. So when they turned on that atomic, whatever it was called, it probably released something. And it's there was a definite shift, and that's the thing. Like, even like these chemtrails, you cannot tell me there's something diabolical about that. Yeah. Growing up, we never saw that.
No, that's the 2000s then.
Yeah, I mean, like, why? Like, who's doing this? No one takes ownership of it.
Well, and just to be clear, yes, we're not saying jets don't leave a trail at times. I'm talking about one that hangs in the air for an absorbent amount of time. I'm not talking about their exhaust or what happens molecularly with the extreme heat up in the atmosphere. Yeah, you're going to have clouds from that. They've been skywriting, but they do different things with that. But even an exhaust from a jet, you have that no one's debating that. Exactly. He's talking about something strictly different. We're talking about grids in the sky where they usually leave a grid. And I've seen one time I watched an aircraft almost come into the stratosphere. It wasn't there. And then I saw this plume, and it came in and it trailed, and then it went up and it went out. Wow. And it didn't move like a flying saucer. It moved slow like one of our craft, but it looked like it was moving outside of our atmosphere. So, yeah.
So us as believers, we are called to bring the culture of the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. So the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. So there's a lot of Christians that live their life ignorantly. And people say, well, ignorance is bliss. No, ignorance is dangerous.
It's death.
Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
So when I start seeing the enemy, the closer his time gets, it's almost as if he gets more frantic, he gets more emblazoned, more boldened. You're seeing more Illuminati stuff manifesting. You're seeing all these things happen. But then what you see in the church, we see this major exposure culture. There's civil war in the church. You're seeing all of this stuff, and yet it's like the enemy's doing a diversion, because again, if his whole objective is to steal, kill, and destroy. So if he's wanting to still kill and destroy, he's going to look for the weakest link possible. Yeah. And I think that is this: it's distraction, it's fear, it's offense, and yet the remnant, which I believe, honest to God, remnant, there is a remnant. It's those who are going to truly walk with God. And what if, dude, I'm not saying this is true or not, but what if the remnant are those who remember how things were before all this Mandela stuff happened? I don't know.
I've thought about that. And it's possible, but I know one of my really good friends who I know is trying his best to follow the Lord. He remembers differently. So, and what I noticed was he is in a different region of the earth, which is kind of strange. And I've actually thought about making a website called Mandalytics, where I allow people to come on, try to catch on, and they plot what they remember, and we start trying to plot things, maybe maybe we start finding out that through analytics of the Mandela effect, we start finding out that people in a certain region over a certain barrier didn't have it happen. Because let's say, I mean, what you say is not wrong. It could be. I've thought about that too, but who knows, right? So we want to approach empirical truth based on not knowing anything. So we take our biases, which I have biases too. I put them aside and we let the facts speak, and then we start putting it together. And that's what I was thinking. But it very well could be. There's something definitely going on.
Well, dude, remember what was the movie about the genie with Sinbad?
Oh yeah.
Dude, I saw Sinbad play in that movie.
Right. No, you didn't. That didn't happen.
Oh, I did, man. It's crazy.
No, and Walt, there was a movie that I was really into at the time, because I wanted to be a vampire. You know, I went through a weird phase, like I was telling you about. Yeah. It was called what I used to watch and what I knew, and I watched several times, was Interview with
a Vampire.
Yeah, a vampire, but not on this timeline. It was Interview with the Vampire.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what do they call it now? Interview with the Vampire?
That's with what they're calling now? Interview with
the one I saw was Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, I know, because we come from a similar area, I think.
That's nuts.
No, it is. And again, what if so an asymptote, right? Mathematically speaking, or in physics, like I mentioned earlier, like the speed of light, right? It is where you infinitely approach a point. Like you were talking about this. You can infinitely approach 2 points and they never touch, right? Now they get closer and closer, but it never touches. That's what an asymptote is. Yeah. What if the reason he's trying to change the laws and the time is because he knows his time is near? Yes. So he wants to stretch out that time as much as he can. If you think about it, from the number 1 to 2, there's an infinite amount of numbers you can put if you just put a decimal and go to whatever, digit you want, right? Yeah. Who's to say he isn't trying to alter the time? And because of that, we're experiencing effects of that. Right?
So if Satan's trying to alter the time, a believer is called to redeem the time. So
yeah,
it's so us as believers, we should be so in tune with the Holy Spirit, number one, that we are not being deceived by what the enemy is doing, and we're not distracted by the cares and concerns of mankind.
Yeah.
And Man, I tell you what, bro. This is a topic that we could spend a lot of time because we haven't even. I mean, we'll be winding down soon
Right.
because we could be talking. We can talk about the Nephilim. We can talk about time travel, whatever, dude.
Right.
I've got too many experiences personally
Yeah.
to say that what we see here, there's more to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I used to time travel too.
Oh yeah.
We called it dimension walking. Me and my
Okay.
friends, we were in our again psychic powers. Now it was the gifting and calling is irrevocable.
Right.
So we would be walking, and we would purposely set our minds on a conversation where we did not pay attention. Remember King David?
Mhm.
Don't count the army, right?
Yes.
Why? Because you're going to count them, and then you're going to get defeated because in your mind you're not going to have faith because now the analytical and your control's taken over. So
Right.
we would talk to each other, and we would talk about anything we could to distract ourselves. We'd even start doing digits like 5 and 12. So we'd go 5, 12, 10, 24, 15, 36, right? And we would just move in. And then and what would happen is we'd wind up getting somewhere in 30 minutes that took 2 hours to walk.
That's crazy. Wow.
But again, we were doing that. We were manipulating. Yeah.
So every now and then I'll listen to these podcasts. I was listening to this guy named Sean Ryan, and
he goes pretty crazy.
he goes in there, right?
Yeah.
And he had this guy on there talking about the government hires remote viewers.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and basically they call them psychics, but it's somebody that stays in one room, but they see somewhere else. I mean, dude, I do this all the time. I mean, it's us as the prophetic, the gift of prophecy, the gift of discerning spirits, word of knowledge. This is the practice of an.
But the Holy Spirit directs you.
Yeah,
they
the Holy
don't.
Spirit.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's not something I self-will. And I'll tell this story, and then we're going to pray in a second. But
yeah, sorry.
You've heard this. I was in Texas years ago, and I was staying at Cheryl Fosnot's house. I was getting ready to preach in Temple, Texas. And at the time, my overseer, my mentor, who I'm really close with, our hearts are knit, was living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Well, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina and Texas is quite a ways away. Okay. Yeah. It takes a while to get there. So I'm in the room, and this is a crazy story. Every time I say that, I mean, some people still don't believe me. I don't care. This happened, I'm in this room and I'm getting prepared because I'm preaching that night. And all of a sudden I have this thought that goes off inside of me. Find your people, you'll find your prosperity. And I say it out loud. Find your people and you'll find your prosperity. But when I said that, I felt like somebody was watching me. It's like you can sense things. That's the thing. I think sometimes the more carnal we are, we don't sense the spirit. We don't sense outside of what we see and touch, But the more you're in the spirit, you can sense everything.
Hebrews 5:14.
Exactly, right? And so, and then about 10 seconds later, I get a text message from my mentor. And he goes, "Hey, man, find your prosperity. Find your people, you'll find your prosperity." Wink. Freaked me out. I'm like, what the crap's going on here? I'm like, what? Anyways, I quickly called him. I said, "Dude, what the heck?" He goes, "Man, I was just thinking about you. And when I thought about you, I was there in the room with you. I saw you."
I didn't mean to be creeping.
Yeah. I said, "Excuse me?" And he said to me, "Scott, you got to understand, when your heart is connected to someone, when you think of them, you're there because you're already one." And he meant it. And that's literally, and he said, Paul told the Corinthians, "I was with you in spirit."
I remember that.
That's literal. That's literal. He was literally there watching the Corinthian church that he planted. And had I not experienced that, because now I've had it happen multiple times when I would just start thinking of people that I love. The moment I start thinking about them, the Lord allows me to see them. And sometimes they see that I'm there. Now, but the thing is, I'm not trying to travel. This is not like astral projection. I'm already there. It's just like the Lord. I'm already there. The reason I'm already there because I'm already in your heart. You're already in mine. We are literally seated together in heavenly places. If we're already seated in heavenly places right there, we're here right now.
Which means we're outside of time.
Bingo. Now that's the thing. When you start telling some people, oh man, that sounds crazy. It's like, well, did we live a spiritual life? Let's stop being carnal Christians. Let's stop being, I think so many times us carnal Christians want to spend their life being more careful than carefree. And like we're worried and afraid of everything. Let me tell you what, the Christian life is full of adventure. There's so much more that we do not know. And I'm telling you, I believe that the remnant is rising. And I believe personally that people like you and what you're doing with artificial intelligence, AI, even Mike Mayfield's working with AI, bro. I'm telling you, so it's like God is positioned.
Cousins, man. That's how Mayfields get down.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people. A buddy of mine on here, Sean Pruitt. He works with AI. I mean, so AI can be useful. And the thing is, we're called to redeem the time. So I'm just excited for the days ahead. I just pray that the church in America, I can't say for everybody, but the church in America gets over its stupid offenses and really comes back to Jesus and follows the Holy Ghost, because I believe America shall be saved. And in order for that to happen, the remnant has to rise and learn how to operate in kingdom ways.
I felt led to say one thing. Would you mind? I know you got to wrap things up. And this will be quick. It won't be a normal Donald combo. So I felt led to put out there when you said Satan goes for the weakest link. I really felt it really crucial to throw out there that just because you're super intelligent doesn't mean you're not the weakest link. As a matter of fact, that is the ensnarement. It doesn't. Scott's not saying you're Forrest Gumping it up, right? He's not saying you love Jenny. He's just simply saying that you're being ensnared. Maybe there's life events. Maybe there's things that going on, like a buffalo herd, right? Who are the predators going to go for? The lions. They're not going to go for the strong herd. They're going to go for the people who are going through stuff. Maybe it's a baby calf. Maybe it's somebody who's limping, right? Sometimes you're taking all these hits. You become the weakest link because Satan has enamored you. What does it say in Daniel 7:25? He seeks to wear down the saints. Yes. You are the weakest link. Why? Because you don't have community. You don't have people linked to you. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of not being there for people, man. I get in my own stuff and I'm just as guilty as anyone else. And also maybe God stewarded you with the one being there for people, so you don't see everyone else there for you. It's just like, I thought, I'm super intelligent. No one else is. God gave you that stewardship for a reason. Not everybody has what you have. So it doesn't. So now you let the enemy ensnare you with that. So I just felt like it was really important to throw that out there.
Good, bro. That's so good, man. That's so good. Well, I tell you what, everybody, make sure that you share this video. And this is something I may have to download this and put it on YouTube. I think this is a good one because Facebook's getting rid of a lot of things after 30 days. Listen, I want you guys to partner with us. Go to 420fire.org. Donald did our website, and we're gonna do it again, right? We're gonna make it better.
I'm gonna do it the right way. It's I did what was ordered and desired. It wasn't
while I was on sabbatical, by the way.
I'm not saying you weren't, but I didn't choose the aesthetics. I was told what to put, and I did, and that's what you get. And yeah, so it'll change.
It will. It will. Yeah, I was on sabbatical, they all took care of that. But anyways, today's a new day. Anyway, so guys, go to 420fire.org. We have some schools coming up the last year that we're doing them. We have one in Texas, the end of June in San Angelo. Then there's one at my house. Bro, you need to come out to West Virginia in October. The last week of October, Halloween week. Monday. Yeah, that's a good one, man. And it'll be beautiful here. And then the final one of the year, it's not on the website, but Donald's getting ready to put it up there. It's in December in Nashville, Tennessee, at Mike and Aaron Mayfield's house. So 420 Fire, Tennessee. And then next year, we're going to be doing something completely different. But don't forget, we got the reunion coming up September 4th and 5th and Labor Day weekend in West Virginia. And I'm looking forward to that. I'll be coming out to see you guys pretty soon, man. I think I'll be out there in June 14th or 15th or 16th, one of those.
We'll have you come we'll do an event at the house too while you're out here, like you said.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. We'll talk about that off the screen. So, Donald, man, it's been an honor, man. I really appreciate you coming on here. This was a great conversation, and hopefully we won't get too many nasty emails after this.
I mean, people have a right to believe, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Pray for me, sister and brother. Pray for me.
Right. All right. Well, love you, man. Everybody, make sure you press the share button. Thank you guys for joining us. This has probably been the longest broadcast I've done with an interview with somebody, man. So, yeah.
I got the mouth of the South, bro.
You broke the record, bro. Well, it was interesting. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this one. All right. God bless you all. Share the video, and Donald will hang out on the back. God bless you guys.
God bless you.